Dear Leon C. Morpheus, my name is Brenda from the other side of America, and I have been listening to your audio log, as you call it, LOL. And I like that you are considered as Morpheus. I think you're more Morpheus than the other YouTube content creators, and I appreciate the information you put out here on the net for people like me, because I want to do better and I want to understand what's going on in this world, and specifically America. But what I really want to find is a fair, balanced, and wholesome relationship. But I am sort of confused as to why I have contacted you. My mother have been in and out of my life, in which I have been unfortunate to gain a relationship with her. But my grandmother has been there to provide the substitute lack thereof. My grandmother have taught me not to depend on a man and to be strong and to take care of myself as a young lady, and to not let any man guide me and control my life. That have been an issue for me for a long time, and it has been a trouble for with every relationship that I have encountered, because I always have this mentality not to depend on him for anything. And so usually he becomes frustrated, or my toughness to be submissive, in the words that are commonly used here, although I should not say, is leading me to be discouraged in the relationship possibilities. Can you give me some insight on this and answer my question as to why and how can I decipher the difference of what decisions I may need to make? Love your work, Mr. Big Morpheus. All right, thank you for that. You're right, there are many other Morpheuses, and there's everybody, well, pretty much a lot of people who have their own red pill philosophy, and there's many spokespeople who are trying to speak about what is actual and factual, and they are not trying to put you in the mindset of an illusion, because America and us as a species, as a race, have had enough of that. But as a helper and as your guiding light, I'm going to go ahead and give you this red pill to enlighten you and everyone else who is listening. And as you know, this may be Q&A now, but in these various emails and discussions, you will receive information in its various forms, which is a very beautiful thing to me, because when you come to my channel, you are at a buffet. When you come to my channel, you have options. When you come to my channel, you're going to get something eventually. I am not here to entertain you, and most likely you're not going to get bored either. But listen, here's your answer. The expression of depending on a man is a feminist expression as a whole, because it's not about you depending on a man. It's about you being with the man. The phrase dependent, it sticks up like a thorn in a woman's side who is looking for an identity for herself, or you could say who's looking to make herself stronger and reliant upon her own strength and her mentality. It makes the lady feel as if she is a child all over again, and she is too weak to take care of herself. Okay? Men did not come up with that term, depend on me. If men ever said depend on me, they are meaning his guidance. They're meaning maybe his strength. Their meaning may be his protective potential. Men aren't the ones that are saying that you are dependent to the point where you cannot take care of yourself. That's a feminist ideology. You're not with a man for him to, for you to be his dependent. You are with your opposite sex just to be with him. Okay? You both have a reliance on each other to a percentage. Okay? You are both sharing your world together. You are both supposedly helping each other to make it along in this tough generation. Okay? You don't hear men say, I am a dependent man. I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on her for. Men don't usually say that. If he's a mature and well-confident man, he won't say that. Because dependent it's not in the library, it's not in the vocabulary. Because it's irrelevant to the subject. Dependence is as if you are absent of the ability to do anything for yourself. So in that measure, with a common American woman who is hell-bent on seeking for her version of equality and liberation from her sense of, it wasn't there, but in her mind, social slavery, okay? The word depending will make her have flashbacks and make her think about nothing but that captivity or limitation. Now, when I talk about that it has never been, I'm not saying that in the past women had full liberty at everything, and they're just falsely accusing for some form of emotional aptitude or version of her new self. I'm not saying that, okay? Because there was some there. But what we're dealing with here today is those who have taken their liberties or the freedoms that has been given to them are allotted through certain services, systems, and governmental mandates. They have gone too far, where it's more damaging than it is a sense of balanced equality or balanced liberation that is supported to be a support for the family or for the man in general. Okay, so let's understand this. So the answer to your question, I know it seemed like I kind of beat it around the bush for a moment there, is trying to find the proper words, is you have to retract what your grandmother was telling you was specifically wrong. Because you have two choices to make, and any other lady who's listened to this, the two choices is very simple. If you're going to be in a relationship with a man, okay, you're going to have to understand that the rules are going to change a little bit, where you have to compromise somewhere. You have to comply to the needs of that man. You're going to have to put your pride aside, put your thoughts of being strong and independent out of your lexicon and your vocabulary, and think about unifying yourself with this man, not as an independent individual in a relationship. You're no longer an independent individual. You are a unit and you are a couple. That's why people say you are a couple. You are one person, but yet you are in two bodies. So whatever he struggles with, you're struggling with as well. And whatever you struggle with, he will struggle with as well. But that's not considered as dependent. That's considered as being a team. That's considered as being a couple who is working out their life together. This is how marriage was sprouted. This is how marriage became such an interesting endeavor to reach in a very fascinating goal, because most couples they stood by the idea of unifying their separate life into one life. Whereas what you deal with is what he deal with. What he deal with is what you deal with. And it was compatible because it was worthwhile, because both of you didn't have a selfish mentality, and both of you did not go into a relationship, that is in the past, unlike today, did not seek out what you could take from the partner. It is what you could give to the partner, which in turn end up giving back to you. because it is a balance game where whatever you produce is going to be given back to you. You're going to see the fruits of your labor immediately through his lifestyle itself. So therefore, there's no such thing as a dependent. You're not a child, and you got to get that feminist computerized ideology out of your mind and out of your lexicon, and you got to change your dictionary, and you got to look at life differently. When you are in a relationship with somebody, you are a unit. You are not two different people. You are one person. You are one person with one cause and one goal. So therefore, wherever his needs need to be met, you meet those needs naturally as being his opposite or his companion, the same as you. He will naturally fill in the blanks. He will naturally build the bridges where there aren't any bridges, because if he accepts you as the woman in his life, okay, then he is accepting to help you and to mend those broken pieces that you can't do on your own. Now, when you think about it with that realistic and very basic explanation, this is why America is like broken glass, because that sort of talk I just shared with you is what evil people hate. What I just got through telling you about what a couple's supposed to be, that's what that's what people who are bitter and who can never find a husband for the rest of their lives, or who hit the wall, people who are over the hill, those who have had a bad past where they can no longer forgive, they're jaded, they are beyond rescue and salvation. This conversation is what they hate, because most people in that circle, okay, I need not say any names or point out any fingers, because you have an imagination, you can figure out, ye or he who is listening, okay, misery loves company, okay, and the downfall of America is not a coincidence. It's not something that just happened yesterday. It built up by a group of evil that transformed into a mass of evil that became normalized. Whereas when you try to do the right thing, okay, that evil is always going to be there to try to tear you apart. No matter how you look at it, and you may think that Morpheus is talking about kumbaya, okay, or Morpheus is a Barney incarnate. I'm just telling you the specific facts, that when you are together, you are supposed to be stronger as a team, whereas you are modifying and you are devouring whatever destruction or troubles you have in your path by being two heads against one. But when you are separated, you are weak. When you are separated and segregated, you are powerless. When you are away from your opposite sex or from your companion, okay, you should be less at your potential greatness than what you would have when you were with the person. Okay, depending on how your situation play off. And oftentimes it's like that. Okay, because even if you do have your structure together, even if you are financially stable, even if you have your world together as you think it is, you are still made as a component to another component. There are some automobiles that may have, let's say, for example, let's keep it very simple. Let's keep it real. Let's talk about a car without wheels, right? Let's say that everything is made right. You got the body parts, you got this stability system, you got your struts. Okay, everything is where it's supposed to be, even the steering wheel. But you're missing one thing, and that's the wheels. So your car is on bricks, but yet you're still a car. You're fine. Okay. So when anybody come around and they see you, you'll say, okay, well, I'm good. They look down and say, okay, you're missing some wheels, so you can't get anywhere. Okay, because you got a component that attaches to it. Now, if you really want to get technical, that's the same as your body, how your body is created. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about this. I don't know, the mixture of genders and whatever ideas that you might have. You got components that attach for a reason. And it's not just for procreation. Okay, it's used for for multiple things. Okay, but at the same time, it tells you that there is a component that is made for you. Okay, it's very simple, and it's an easy way that nature has spoken to humanity, but we want to be ignorant towards nature and feel as if we are born to be a unisex, or we are born without being attached to something else. Okay, so therefore, when you are separated from that thing that you are compatible for or should be, whether psychologically or spiritually, sometimes financially, or even mentally, which is a really big thing here in America, because a lot of people are really mentally damaged who really need to seek psychiatry and help, but they're not going to get it because we're dealing with the compassionless time and people who are misconstrued and deceitful information. Okay, a lot of people are walking around hurt and alone and destitute and desperate, okay, and without an ideal of what their life can truly be. Do you understand? So when you hear your grandma and another person talking, oh, you need to be strong and independent. Strong and independent from what? Yourself? Strong and independent from what? Men are telling you that you're not strong and independent by being with him, okay? It is just better to fight the war with your team than to fight the war all by yourself as a one-woman army and get yourself slaughtered. Because you're not made to be in this world to drift it alone, thinking that you being strong and independent is going to save you from every obstacle that you're going to come across. Because there will come a time where nature will come knocking on your door, and nature don't care about your college degree. Nature does not care about your fancy Lexus. Nature don't care about your cabin, your expensive cabin on the beach. Nature don't care about your condos that you own. Nature don't care about your double digits that you get per year. It don't care about that. Okay. When it comes, it sends you a reality check that you cannot send back. With time lost, with the time that you have that's allotted to you by nature and the true energy of God, okay, that is outside of man's description and deception, okay, with that energy force, it's best to use your time wisely and put yourself together by being modest and sensible and not so head hot, or they call it hot headed or hard headed to a percentage where you feel as if you can't be, you can't, what do you call that? You can't peer bond. You can't mold yourself to anyone. When you feel as if you don't need them and they're not a requirement of your life, of their life, they're expendable. And therefore, in return, nature makes you expendable when the time clock stops. And you don't want to be those people, because then you're transformed to be that same bitter, lost, unwedded, destitute, leftover lady who can't find love anywhere because you rejected it for fear of unifying yourself under the disguise of that stupid word called dependent. You got to remember that the traditions and the words that were taught unto you young ladies was a misdirection and a misunderstanding by illogical emotional thoughts. And it's destroying America by the roots. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, just pay attention to America. Pay attention to what's going on, and the facts will speak for itself. Mr. Leon C., Big M, I got a good question to throw at you. My name is Drake D. Rock. And I was wanting to know about your recent audio titled "The Definition of a Simp is Cost." And I do a little research on my own, myself. I'm trying to build up a channel of my own, and I'm all about the red pill. You're doing a good job with your content, and I'm all behind you. But I want to know, this gentleman of yours that you say was your friend that have gotten all the ladies that you was talking about more than a public toilet seat. What was this dude's status? Did he have money? You know, where he come from? What was his standings? I want to know what this dude is all about and how he was able to get all these girls. With what ability? All right. I didn't do just diligence to describe all those things in those audio because, of course, I only have so much time. But in this Q&A, I can answer that. Yes, some of you who don't understand or know what he's talking about the audio that he just gave you the title of it. It's called The Definition of a Simp is Cost. And in that, I've described about this situation with this gentleman who is able to get many fish, in the ocean of America, and don't mind picking up the leftovers and having fun with it. However, his status, he didn't have a status, my friends and family, no status at all. As a matter of fact, he is, as I know of now, a struggling individual. And he has goals that he want to meet, but he's not going to meet them. And I can tell you now, as Morpheus and your red pill provider, he's never going to succeed like he wants to, because he's spending all his time playing games with these low frequent girls who have no quality of their own. One thing you got to understand is, and that's the cost. That's what I was explaining to you in that audio. That's the cost. The cost of of going out there and fishing for girls and women, is you got to put time invested. Is your time, is your money, is your quality future, and it is your freedom. Those things they're jeopardized because you're spending your time trying to impress these girls. You're spending your time taking them places. You're spending time giving them the attention that they seek. You're spending time jumping to their every call and their beck and demand, while you are neglecting your own demands, your own ability to build your kingdom or your foundation or your fortress. I found out that this guy, if he isn't in the company of his low-range, low-hanging fruit females, he will often get bored and he can't stay at home. He will often call me when he doesn't have any of those occupants with him. Then he wants to talk for an hour and a half about something stupid that he knows nothing about, and it ends up being a waste of time. I've been cutting him off, and I'm at zero tolerance with him, and I don't spend longer than 20 minutes in a conversation anymore, because I constantly find myself correcting him because he transformed to be this man who needs tampons. And I'm not his tampon dispenser. That's what happens to these blue pill simps who their only desire is chasing the toilet seat, chasing these females, and not giving anything to themselves in return. Not one of them is paying his bills. Not one of them is helping him put food in his refrigerator. Not one of them is providing him with the usage of his car or the maintenance of his car. Everything comes out of his pocket. He has to travel to them. He has to pick them up and take them places. He has to give them money or to take care of them when it comes to groceries or their shortcomings. That is just the results, and that is inevitable to happen when you are at the woman's beck and call, because you are waiting your time or you're waiting in line to donkey dunk with these low quality women. Because usually those are the ones that are going to be flopping on your boat. Those are the ones who you're going to catch in your net. Those are the ones that are on the shallow water of the shallow part of the water, where it's easy for you to just put your net in there or your fishing hook and pull them right out. But it's time consuming and it's a waste of time. There's a thing that a person said. There's a thing that a wise man would say, and that is quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. Just because you get a lot of them, that doesn't mean that you're getting the quality fish that you really need. You're not fulfilled. You're unsatisfied. It's discontent. It's garbage, nasty, trashy, smelly. The list goes on. But when you have the quality, then the fishing is done. You don't have to fish as much. You are content with what you have, or what you have is good enough to supply you with a decent amount of nutrition and milling for the entire week or more. Okay, he doesn't understand that. So you want to know about his status? He's not a rich man, trust me. And he's never, I can actually tell you that he will never be rich, because he's dealing with these women. And when you deal with women on a normal basis, where they are your whole world, and you surround yourself with them, you're going to find yourself being parasited on, where you become insufficient for yourself and your own financial structure. If you don't understand what I'm saying, even rich people got to deal with this when they become financially wealthy, and they end up with this woman from 15, 20 something years, and they end up taking half of his wealth that she didn't help him make, nor did she do the record labels, nor did she do the packaging, nor did she lick the stamps, nor did she swing the hammer and mallet, nor did she sit down on the ice cream bucket to churn the ice to make the ice cream that he's so famous for. Okay, all they did was sat back, put on their wigs to look pretty, to have something to come home to. Okay, and then they took all his proceeds, or most, if not all his proceeds, and he's left with half of his fortune. That's really, honestly stupid. Just think about that for a moment. Think about just really, you spend your entire life working hard to build your kingdom. You spend every wake and hour to build up your business, your money, your career, your cars. And you get with this girl and she takes half of what you labor for. All because you on the donkey dump, because you're waiting hand and foot for this female to parasite off of you. That's real smarts. I'm actually on the woman's side when it comes to this. I would say you deserve, if you are simp enough to be a donkey enough, to be backwards walking enough, to be ignorant enough to think that this pretty little thing that looks like an angel, okay, ain't gonna fish hook you in the end. Okay, you deserve to be fish hooked. Okay, you deserve for your empire to be taken from you, because you didn't honor your empire by honoring every beck and wish that she wanted you to do. Jumping to her through her hula hoops and barely escaping. Wow, these men are he's not gonna have any status. He's not gonna make it. I can actually tell you right now, he's struggling. I know this because he calls every now and then. And it's the same scenario. Whenever I ask him, hey, what was you doing today? I was in Chicago spending time with this girl with the only car that I had. And, my car broke down and my rent is due. I can't even pay my rent, but, I loaned her like $200, but she don't want to give me my money back. My God. And I'm sitting there shaking my head like these dudes. These men, wow. Just like what Joker said, America needs an enema for sure. Now I'm gonna go to the next emailer here. Oh, lovely. Okay, this is one of my topics again here. Morpheus, I am bound by my struggle, and I am a little on edge at the moment because of the discoveries that I have been finding, and it has been troubling for me with the understanding that my religion was a lie. Oh, wow. And all this time when I invested my energy, my time, my finances. What's that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my tithing and offering into this church system, only to find out with my research that it was all just a made up story, as what you say it is. I'm struggling with maintaining my insanity at the moment, but I want to know which might be able to help me. How did you, Morpheus, deal with your reality when you found out that the religion, or such as Christianity, was false? And was you able to maintain your insanity? And how can I maintain a sound mind without falling off the edge? Okay, I apologize that I diced that up just a little bit. The verbiage was a little different on that. Now listen up, my American people, and you who may be Christians in religion, in the religious sector. Okay. I would say that my experience was the same as yours. I know it's hard for you to understand. That's ye who are religious and you may be Christian right now. You will be surprised that I was just like you. It's kind of hard to just say that with words. I was the one who I wanted to be a preacher. I wanted to lay hands and walk around with the crucifix around my neck. I was the nice guy once upon a time. I was the you could say I was the blue pill simp Christian who really thought that it was the word and the word was God and the word, I don't even want to finish it. It sounds stupid. Okay. I was the one that wanted to push that placebo. Okay. I wanted to push that imaginary story onto everyone because it felt good to me. And I thought everyone else would accept it the same way. Now, how my reality came was through reality itself, meaning I began to see the world in a different light because the information that was beamed into me was it was contradicting what the religions was saying. It was contradicting what I believed in. And I was in cognitive dissonance at the time. I was really trying to hold on to the biblical text and believing that it was the word of God and gesture and, God's son. We call that Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Trinity type of thing. And none of it lined up. It all conflicted with itself. There was only very little truth. And the truth that I've gotten from what I've read out of the biblical text was just simple, everyday, common logic that you could use that should already be in your mind. You don't even have to be taught that from a church. You know better already after a certain age. And even if as a child, children know better too of what's wrong and what's right based on nature and based on what's around them. But those particular things it was overdone, meaning the church have made an otherwise simple understanding of just basic poetry and stories to be something that is serious and more profound to the point of life and death, whereas it has no choice but to conflict with reality around you and science and nature and the definition of evolution. Okay, so with that path that I was walking and understanding that there was a difference between what I was reading versus what reality was bringing to me, it was shafting away the chains off of my arms one stage at a time. One day at a time, I began to discover reality, one sermon at a time, one walk in the park, just putting my Bible down and going to meditate, talking to people who was not religious, listening to other religions and putting the median together and understanding where they come from as well. The Catholic, Muslim, the list goes on. Okay. And being able to figure out where their root is as well and make my comparisons with reality, with what you can feel, see, and what you know of in history. And so I was already pretty much looking at the matrix and realizing that something's wrong. I was seeing the deja vu where there's not a cat sitting there and next thing you know, the cat appears. And then I begin to question, how does this happen? This is not what the Bible is telling me. This is not what religion is all about. How is this? Then the dealings and the conversations I've had with several people that were non-believers. So I did my fact finding by listening. I was Neo at the time and connected to the machine, but I was also becoming aware as well where I was twitching in my machine shell, as you've seen in the depiction in the movie itself. I was actually twitching and moving because I was becoming alive. I was getting information from other places that was outside of the machine. Okay. And it was awakening me from the stompified thinking and the de-evolution of my own empowerment, and realizing that I was being taken for all my energy in life by what the word was saying, because it was just a word, not action. Okay. And when I did my history search and start reading from the library and going to the Apocryphas and going to other interpretations of the religions, not religion like in Christianity, I'm talking religions as a whole. Okay, talking what you believe. Okay, there was always a core, there was a root, there was a source that was the same, a Chloe. And when I found the central source or the root to tether the religions together and the psychology, and I start studying books from doctors. I start doing my working on physics. Just I became a superior nerd. Okay, I was all into it. Okay, I did not want to accept what I was reading, because everything that I studied in school, in the books, in the library, went against what religion otherwise tried to program you to believe in. And I went through fits. I had my Neo moments where I was battling between my cognitive dissonance and reality, where I didn't want to get out of bed. There were times where my whole day was, I can't express it to you how terrible it was, and I never want to go back to that. It was as if I was two different people at one time. I was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I was mean, I was happy, and I was unhappy. I was emotional. My fluctuation was just off the charts. Okay. The symptoms that I had, some doctors will consider it as schizo are somewhat psychotic to a degree, but it wasn't that I was psychotic. It wasn't that I was schizo. I was having an internal war with myself. I was fighting nature. Nature was telling me that I was wrong. What I believed in was wrong, but my mind was trying to hold on to what was programmed from my parents, from my generation, from my grandparents, from the pastors, because we grew up close to each other. See, church is more than just, and I understand. This is why I tell you I'm not attacking you, because I understand. I'm just a fact finder. And as Morpheus, I have to break you from the matrix. The matrix is a lie. The matrix is a deception, and it spans to multiple subjects and multiple things, which I constantly have to remind you of. So when I was battling the programming that was within my mind and that was implemented from the parents and grandparents, like I was saying, usually it's because there was a relationship between myself and the congregation of the church, or even the pastor. Sometimes, and understand, you build a relationship with the pastors. You build a relationship with the church members. You build a relationship with their families. Y'all eat out sometimes after Sunday class or Sunday night sometimes. You spend choir rehearsal with them. You go to their house. You meet their family. During Bible studies, you stand outside and you talk for a little while. I understand that. It's more than just a belief system. It's more than just a religion system. Okay, you have family there. You have friends there. You have people who you probably grew up with since you was a child, and now you're adults. And so you tied in your religion with your personal life, with your family, with your expectation of friendship. So when you break away from religion, you're breaking away from practically the church family that you grew up with, that you eat dinner with at church. And sometimes there's dinner in the church, of course. Sometimes there's a banquet there. Sometimes y'all will go to convention centers together. Sometimes there's church skating. I understand. Sometimes those very people who are in the church babysit your children, or you babysit theirs, or you help them out with their car, or they may be your business partner and they're right there in the church. I understand. Morpheus is not blind to this. I was there. So that's what made it even more difficult for me to break away, because that means I had to leave the entire family. That means I had to discredit my grandparent and my parents. That means I had to discredit the ones who I grew up with. That means I had to turn my back on practically everything. And it hurt me more than anything, to the point where I was alone for a long time. So my distortion was bad. It was really bad. And it took a long time. It took me a while to recover from that loss. But I found out that it was worth it. It was worth it because now I'm stronger for it. Now I know the truth. Now I couldn't think of being in any other position than where I am today. I'm glad I made that escape from the matrix, because like I told you before, it's not easy to walk away from a lie that's been comfortable for so long, because not only do you have a lie that's there, you have family connections there. You have bonds there. You have people that you love and that you know. So the matrix is not going to make it easy for you to walk away. It's going to tie you into your emotions. It's going to tie you in to your intimate lifestyle, where walking away is a hard bargain, where you will lose more than you think that you will gain. The only thing that you think that you'll be gaining, of course, that you will, is truth and life. But at the time, you won't see it like that. All you will see is that this may be a truth, and it's a contradiction against what you otherwise believe. So it's not worth leaving the family. It's not worth leaving the church. It's not worth leaving the intimate relationships that you have had with several church members, pastors, and ministers that you have grew up with. So therefore, a lot of people will not find the door out because they feel like it's not worth it. So you'll be amazed how that little bitty light, you'll say, how did that little bitty light of contradiction and truth outweigh and defeat my cognitive dissonance and the relationships and the ties I had with the church? I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Okay. Inside some of us, and it's not all of us, and I'm going to share that with you in other audios. Okay. And yes, that's what I do. I talk about unique subjects. Okay, if you can't handle it, okay, wrong channel for you. There's a thing called instincts. There's a thing called soul. There's a thing called star children. Okay, if you ever heard about star children, let's look it up. Okay, there is a unique relationship that it's only for a few people. Not everyone has this. There are a few people who have a thorough connection, I would say, with the universal God, or with God in your perception, where in your genes, in your awareness, in your consciousness cannot be wiped away. And a lot of that do have a lot to do with your genetic inheritance from your ancestors and from the deep past that children can inherit once in a blue moon in your family strand. Whereas out of 7 family members, one of them might be completely enlightened and different. Okay. And it might skip that generation and reach other generations from that particular person. Whereas the child is different. Their child is different. But it hops, skips, and it jumps. Okay. And what that means is when you have a deeper connection with truth and instincts of nature and the true God, which is not in the biblical text and cannot be taught in religion, no matter how the deception is put upon you, no matter how many lies that people try to tell you about what the devil and God is, no matter how many books you may read, eventually you're going to awaken no matter what. Eventually, you're going to rise out of your instincts is going to rise out of the grave, and you're going to return to exist. You're going to return to truth. Okay, because your destiny, your destiny in your existence is not to be bound. It's not for you to be like the common deceived individual. Your destiny is to be utterly aware and focused on that which is higher than that, because you are chosen by nature. You're chosen by the force of what you could say God is, not to be deceived, so you can be the one that will be the leader, or you can be the one that can bring others to the water, or you can be the one that can teach. You can be the one that will have the insight to bring other people to the insight. Okay? Because everyone can't rush to the door at one time. It will cripple the system. Okay? Everyone is not going to be enlightened in one time. Everybody is not meant to be advanced in their thinking, in their mentality, and in their strength. Okay? Because the signs that I have received is no different than a lot of other signs that you and other people have received as well, as far as the deceptions, the contradictions, life throwing us curveballs, okay, or even the news or things that are depicted before us is no different than what I have experienced myself. It's that I have had the opportunity and the privilege to see it for what it really was and take it seriously. Where I was always a thinker, I will always sit down and study the thing in which I'm seeing, lest it not be there. It would trouble me. If there was something that I didn't understand, I didn't do like what some of these new people do here in your America, which want to destroy what they don't understand and get mad at it and fight it, want to segregate themselves from it, want to be prejudiced and stupid, retarded. Okay. No, I sit there and I'm just like, okay, let me understand this thing. I don't want to get it. I just want to understand it. There's no need for me to rancor a dissension between myself and this energy or this person or this idea. I rather look at it and say, okay, maybe this might be something. It might be significant. Okay. And so that gave me more of a tool and ability to go the opposite direction, whereas the sheep were going one way, I'd go the opposite direction with that practice. And I found out it was the other way, not the way they were going, especially when you see that they're not successful. Their hair is being cut off. You know, they're arguing. They have a distorted life. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there, but you're not able to see it when you're riding with the crowd, where you want to be amongst people all the time who have a thwarted opinion only based on what the rest of the herd is saying. Okay? You got to think outside of the box in order to understand what the box is all about. Sometimes you got to be the one that observes to see what the entire picture looks like. You cannot observe it when you're on the inside going by opinions and what people think. Or you can say what people are saying about a thing. And the toughest part about it is, my dear emailer, is when you learn how to be alone, when you learn how to go into the river, get on your boat, and just row away. Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna go ahead, because I can rant on this all day, and I'm gonna give you an example, and I always do in movies. Okay, movies is a very good example. Some of y'all watch movies. Okay, there is a movie called The Truman Show. Okay, and this is a very, very good. It works well with this conversation that we're having now. In The Truman Show, it was, you can consider that to be sort of like a Matrix situation. He was the only character in this movie-like scene, and everybody pretended to be his family, his lover. They pretended to be nice to him, that he would get up and go to work every day. And just like the Matrix, he began to notice odd things, that things didn't line up, things wasn't right. Like the world was strange. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? No, this is different. Then he began to discover how people were acting behind his back, and certain, buildings was kind of crooked. He saw people with, like microphones, stuff like that from a distance. So he said, wait a minute, something's going on here. Something isn't, his instincts was kicking in, and his logic began to come and dominate stupidity. He didn't sit there and distance himself for what was odd. He sat there and said, wait a minute, let me think about this, especially the act that he did at home with his wife. He really sat down and he wanted to figure out, what is this? What is my life? What is this all about? Okay, then that's the same thing that you have to do it yourself. Same thing that happened to me as Morpheus. I just sat down and said, okay, let me question it. When you question, the teacher appears. And your teacher is not some man with a Bible in his hands. Your teacher is beyond that. Don't go Don't go to the representative. Go to the boss himself. You understand? People say, oh, I am a representative of God. I am a preacher. I'm speaking for God. I'm the speaker of God. Don't go to the speaker. Go to the boss himself. Go to the one who created you. Go to the anything. Don't go to the representative of the car you're purchasing. Go to the manufacturer himself. Go to the designer. Okay, go to the core factor. And that's what I begin to concentrate on. Okay, why is these people telling me about this? I don't need you to tell me about this. Let me speak to the boss man himself. Okay, let me deal with this model. Let me figure out what this life is all about. So getting back to the story of the Truman Show, okay, I had to add a little bit of my experience with that and help you out with that a little bit along the way. The unique thing about it is the time came where he said, I'm tired of this. He said, you know what? I am going to find my truth. Unlike what some of you religious people do, you go by what people tell you. In the Truman Show, he didn't do that. He said, you know what? I'm going to find it for myself. He put the Bible down specifically. I'm just giving an example. Okay, put down rumor and whatever else you think with your emotions and your choir and it being tied in with the family of the church. He got in the boat and decided to just leave to find it out for himself. Okay, so he got in his boat and he rowed away and he found out. He found out his truth. He found his truth. Now, when you think about it, nobody else was in the boat. Okay, his pastor wasn't in the boat. Mommy wasn't in the boat. Okay, no one was in that boat but him. He was there alone, and he decided to strive out on his own to find his own answers. And he did just that. He found his evolution. He found the reality. And therefore, he realized the difference between fake and real, between what was really going on behind the curtains without his knowledge. Now, here's my advice for you and any of you who is in the same situation as this this emailer is. I don't normally talk about God in this measure, but I take that back. I know that my energy and my purpose is to reach out to those of you who may be struggling spiritually and struggling to find truth where you are finding truth here. Okay. If there's any type of evidence, if there's any type of proof that God cares, then I think what I do is purpose enough. I think me being able to be your advisor and be your Morpheus and to shine the light for you is a guiding light itself from a God that's differently than what you taught, that what you was taught and what you think God to be. Because I'm not religious, I'm not in your church, but yet you could say that God is using me to empower you. God is using me to help you. God is using me to be concerned about your well-being, to put this effort, to put this energy, this time, okay, and my investment in this channel to make you better, okay, if you really want to go there. But let's go even further. For you, my emailer, and those who are struggling just like them, then I would advise you to just put your religion or your Bible down and go on a break for a moment and see what happens. Okay, go several months to a year and don't go to church. Don't even think about it. Just go for a break for a moment and do this. Listen, ask God to reveal itself to you. I didn't say himself. I didn't say herself. I said its self. Because gender, listen, gender is a human description made up by man needing to identify their sense of God through gender, which it is irrelevant to gender because a God sense is obviously a power and a force beyond human and beyond man. So you cannot label it as a man and a woman man. So that in itself will destroy Christianity when they talk about him and he and thus he and son of God and father in heaven. It's always father, man, he, father, man. Okay, always. Father, Lord, him, God. male, masculinity. Okay, already redirecting your thoughts to thinking that this sky energy is a man. Who said it was a man? Who's telling you that? Who told you that? Now, I know we aren't as logical as we supposed to be, and we don't think as deeply as we should because we are shallow water fish on a common basis. But I must tell you that women have been created by God too. Nature have been created by God too. Animals have been created by God too. Just about everything that you see, touch, and smell have been created by God. So how can it be limited to a male gender? Okay, you can't create a thing if it's not in you already. And if you are thinking that this God have created Adam and Eve, then there's no way it would just be Adam to get the proceeds and to get the attention and not Eve. Okay, God's not imbalanced nor a gender bigot like that. Okay, it will be balanced across the board. So it will be it, not he or she. That should be a simple evaluation, but we still go, oh, he loves me. Oh, he loves me. Like, who are you talking about? Who are you talking? Your ex-boyfriend? Oh, but your husband? I know your husband loves you. What's going on there? Anyway, if you want to talk about patriarchal thinking, that's patriarchal thinking, ladies. Okay, that's patriarchal when you have a group of people talking about he. Okay, you was never there. That thing have never revealed itself as a man, nor have it said it was a man. Okay, but it's all been constructed in words. Okay, that you didn't write, but you believe it because somebody told you. Okay, now getting back to what I was talking about, because I can go on a rant on this all day. It's hilarious. Okay, listen. Go for a break. Okay, meditate for a year at least and tell your interpretation of God to reveal itself to you. Reveal truth to me. Reveal the facts to me, God. Show me what you got, God. Okay, I'm tired of this. I want to see it. Okay, show me. Okay, do this and separate yourself from the drugs. And what do I mean is, you can't find Ma'at. You can't find God, the real God. You can't find truth while sitting in the meditation of your indoctrination. You can't find out what's going on while you are inside of it. It don't work like that. You have to get away from the medications to understand how devastating the medication is. And when you are in the church setting, when you are reading from the book, when you are thinking you got to pray every day, when you are concentrating, oh, I need to fast today. Oh, I gotta hold my crucifix and kiss it every time I go to sleep. I need to do my cross, or I got to do my rosary. When you are thinking that, okay, you are constantly medicating yourself with what you are trying to question. Did you hear what I just said? You are trying to medicate yourself with what you are trying to question. When you want to question a thing, you put it down and you walk away. Okay? How you can be delivered when you leave that church behind for a little while and you take 2 weeks off, take 4 weeks off, go without for 5 months and see what happened. Okay, there's two things that's going to happen. You're going to start feeling conflicted because church members are going to start calling you a sinner. Oh, you're wrong. And, oh, how come I haven't been hearing from you? Oh, you don't pray no more. Oh, you're not ministering no more. Oh, you're a backslider. You know what I told you about backsliding? It's in one of my audios. Okay, you should know what Morpheus is talking about by now. Okay, they'll start throwing shame words at you. All right. And they're starting to pull you back to the plantation. They want you to come back to the slave plantation because they want you to be limited like them. Misery loves company. Okay. When there's nothing wrong with you taking a break, it's not going to hurt your soul and your spirit to go a year without going to your Bible. Like you got to read this word every day. Why? Listen, this is okay. Let me show you something. When you are, and I got to talk about it. For this, when it comes to selling dope, I don't sell dope. Okay, I'm just saying, for example. Okay, don't shut down my channel because I'm talking about this. I'm just giving you an example, people. Okay, be easy, YouTube. Okay, listen. Okay, when you are selling, Okay. And you want a constant customer. You want somebody who is going to always come and need you. Okay. They want your services. They need you to, well, you need them to always need you. Okay. What you do is you want them to always be stuck on your product. Okay, you're going to keep delivering to them because you want them to stay there. You want them to come back. Okay, you know that if they wean themselves off of your medication, off of your drugs, off of your products that you are selling, okay, they may go through withdrawal. But if they deal with the withdrawal, and I'm going to talk about the withdrawal in a moment, okay? If they deal with the withdrawal and they're able to defeat their desires, their yearnings, and their addiction to your drugs or your products, that they'll have an ability to, to recuperate. Okay. They have the ability to wean themselves off of the drug, to rehabilitate themselves, and they won't need your product anymore. This is why the church constantly tell you, oh, you got to read your Bible every day. Come on back every Sunday. No, you got to do this every day. You're a backslider if you leave, because the fear is you're going to get knowledge from somewhere else. The fear is the real God and the real energy is going to come into your life, in which it will come into your life. It will challenge your faith. It's going to challenge your belief, in which you will go out into the world and somebody will tell you something that will blow your mind. Okay, then you'll go back to the church and you will challenge the church based on the new information that you have learned. Okay, you will challenge the dope dealer. Okay, what you have learned, and you realize that the product, okay, is rigged for your self-destruction. It's rigged for your powerlessness. It's rigged for you to keep coming back. It's rigged for you to be this slave on a plantation. Okay? The idea isn't for you to be liberated. The idea is for you to be limited by your thoughts, by your participation. So if you really want to wean yourself away from what's being told, and you're going to go through the withdrawal. The withdrawal is your consciousness that they have bled into your mind. Oh, you're a sinner. Oh, you hate God. Oh, you don't love. Oh, you just this and that. Oh, you the devil. Oh, don't let the devil talk to you. Oh, you're going against the family, and oh, you're slipping away. Oh, you're going to go to burning hell. All these fear words of contradiction, stuff that ain't never going to happen, stuff that will not happen. Oh, the wages of sin is death. I want you to say that to the 1 million people who got sick from the COVID-19. I want you to say that to all the people who've been flying in the sky and end up meeting the concrete ground, okay, from bad piloting and bad machines that was created from bad people who didn't concentrate like they should have, but y'all believed in them like they were gods. Okay, I want you to believe in all the slave trades that were going on in the history of America. I want you to believe in all the times where all the innocent people and children who wasn't even born yet, but was destroyed by abortion. I want you to think about all the people who didn't have a chance to live their life, but their life was snuffed away from for some idiots that wanted to do drive-by shooting in their neighborhoods. What about them? Talk about them for a second. Put your nonsense to rest and be done with it. Talk about the wages of sin is death. They weren't sinners, not all of them. And there weren't no sin to begin with, which debunks your belief. It destroys it by the hilt. If you want to liberate yourself, walk away from it and do a cleansing for an entire year. Tell your sense of God to reveal itself to you. And I guarantee you that it will, through nature and through real life and reality. Whereas the measure of words that the pastor is trying to push down your throat, and the shame words that your so-called saints that are trying to throw at you, calling you a sinner and you a traitor and you a backslider, and oh, you just hate God. You're the devil now. You're just no good to the church now. Let them talk. Let them talk as they want to talk, with their own opinion, because that's all it is. While you are out there being free to think as you will and being free to be the soul that you are supposed to be and that you was born to be. Where you'll find truth, they'll continue to be in myth. You'll find reality, they'll continue to find their comfort in illusion. You'll find the way that the things are, they'll keep believing in the way that the things aren't. Chew that and put that in your taco. How are we going to be so self-righteously belligerent and people are losing their lives outside of the idea of religion? And they have nothing to do with good or evil, but the nature of distorted thinking of mankind. And you want to say that it has something to do with sin because they don't believe in some superstition. How cold-hearted can we be to say that we have a tenacity or ability to hate God or goodness just because we don't want to believe in a system? That's not fair for the children. That's not fair for our unborn children. That's not fair for our aborted children. That's not fair for our children who cannot learn. They got a learning disability. That's not fair for the unfortunate families. That's not fair for the people who don't have a sense or ability to be able to take care of themselves. But we want to deem ourselves to a limited religion, to falsify thinking because we are so emotionally attached to cognitive dissonance, but we're not attached to compassion as we say we are. Let me calm myself down. So what you should do, or you can do, it's your choice. I'm only giving you advice because you asked and you came to Morpheus, and Morpheus is not in the Matrix. You're asking somebody who's outside of your planet. So you're going to get something that's different. Take that book of poems, that historical book of poems, put it in the library where it belongs. Okay. Take your crucifix and put that where it belongs, or maybe in the graveyard where you normally see them at. Okay, the logic behind that is, years ago, historically, there have been multiple ways that people have been crucified. Okay, and in some of the current states, okay, there's been many ways of laying somebody down. Okay. So there was the electric chair, there was lethal injection, and there was hanging. Okay. If you are not willing to wear that around your neck as a necklace, then why would you have the crucifix around your neck? Because it's no different, because that was the way that they crucified most of their people in history. And just like what you are taught to think and believe is that, oh, it's different because it was only one person that was special was crucified, as if all the other thousands upon millions of people who were crucified was irrelevant. All the people who was hanged was irrelevant. All the people who got the lethal injection was non-essential and irrelevant to this one special person that you want to believe in. That's amazing love. That's amazing love. Very amazing, spectacular, in fact. Walk away from it and do your month drive without it. Don't even talk about it. Don't even think about it. And just ask the energy of the universe to reveal truth to you. Okay? You are bound to find something. And what you will find is that you're going to be living just fine without it. You're going to be doing just well without it. You're going to find out that you're still going to be breathing. You're still going to be eating. You're still going to be working, and you're still going to be taking care of your children, and you're still going to be functioning quite well. And then you're going to be believing and not believing. You're going to be understanding that all it was a believing system. You will find your factors. You don't have to be Neil. You don't have to spit up and twist in circles and lose your mind and become psychotic and jump off the nearest bridge. You don't have to. Just wing yourself off of the psychological drugs and wing yourself onto reality and facts. I'm going to tell you now, as Morpheus, I've been doing this for a long time. Okay. And I'm loving it. I've never been my best self ever. I'm enjoying the superpowered me that I never was, but I am now. because I'm able to see things for what it really is. I'm able to embrace the facts. I'm able to embrace reality and deal with it, not hide behind the curtains of prayer. Don't pray about a thing. Get up off your knees and pray with your feet and start walking, and you will start going to locations where you're supposed to be, not sitting still in stontified, preached mythical waters. It don't work like that. America was never built on sitting still. It was built on action. Life was never built on mythical hopes and dreams and thinking about it. It was built on actions, in fact, science and nature. Not manipulating your perception in your mind to deal with your reality. You dealt with your reality by facing reality in those days where we are scared to do now. I know this might offend most of you, and I know it's like, oh, he is slicing religion again. He's dicing at it again. No, I am fulfilling the purpose of delivering the message to my emailer. That's what I do. They paid for this. They asked the question. They asked for Morpheus, and I'm delivering. You might be defended. That's because you're taking a personal route at this instead of thinking about what I'm actually saying. If you're playing for the other team, of course you're going to be uncomfortable when somebody's a combatant against you, or when somebody is going against you and your otherwise team. But you got to look at it from the other team's perspective. Maybe we are saying something that makes sense that you don't want to accept. That's the difference between being mature and immature. When growing up from being a child that loved cartoons and being entertained to being an adult and dealing with reality, dealing with the facts. Not trying to bend it to your perception and make it work through psychotic drugs and medication of your delusional mentality in your subconscious mind. You need to be aware, awoke, and conscious nowadays and focusing on what's real, not delusional myth. Now, I'm too wired up now. I can't even answer my last emailer. I'm gonna have to answer the emailer on the second audio. Anytime there's a discussion about our belief system and our self-righteous behavior, when I see people dying daily, when I see innocent children dying daily, when I see people who are powerless and just don't have the power or the ability to defend themselves, and here we are thinking that we're so self-righteous in our religion, we have nerve to call them sinners and that they are an abandonment of God in our so-called belief system. It does nothing but rile me up because that's unfair to them, because they can't defend themselves. If the dead could speak, they would teach you a lesson and a half. They will tell you it's not all about what you think it is or what you've been taught to think it is. It's all about reality and knowing what it is, not by mythical thinking. So leave that nonsense behind and you will find reality. You will see life for what it is. And you will learn for yourself, because it's not in the books that you will find God. It's outside of the books. It's not in the church where you'll find salvation. It's in spirituality that you will find salvation. And that is not in religion or tradition. It's already in your soul if you have one. And you're going to find it immediately and eventually as soon as you disconnect from the mental drugs and the medications, of delusion. Life is about freedom and living your life, not being bound to man-made restrictions. If you are willing to live by man-made restriction and mythical ideology, then that means you are submitting to death already. That means you are forfeiting your life to being ignorant cattle. And then you want to share that same mentality with innocent people, such as children and others, who don't even have the ability to understand life yet. And the first thing we want to do is drag them to Sunday school class and tell these children, yes, Jesus loved me. Yes, Jesus loved me. Yes, Jesus loved me. While airplanes are still going down, people are still losing their lives around the country in barrels. That's stupid. What about them? You think they're saying that as they're going down in flames? You need to rethink what you think is real. And in order for you to do that, just like my emailer, walk away and meditate with the reality of it and bring some sensibility to yourself, because reality will find you, and that's not what they want you to do. Because as soon as you go on, let's say you go for a year without it. Okay, you start reading from other books. You start studying from other content creators. You start understanding the world for what it is. You get into science. You do your college studies. You start talking to other people. You start reading from other books. Muslims start talking to you. Catholics start talking. Around the world, you start figuring things totally differently. Then you look at your religion and say, wait a minute. I have 99.9% facts and reality that can debunk just about everything that I thought was true. And the only thing they got is mythical ideas that I can't even prove, because number one thing, as I told you before, you was never there. But you know where you are? You are where you stand right now in reality. And what you are around is mankind's idea of paradise, whereas the idea is for you to think just like what the system is around you, so you can be a part of the system, so you can never evolve outside of the system, so you can be a computerized system, just like you are in your computerized thinking. Therefore, you have computerized success that has no evolution in your human organic superiority that's supposed to be already within your instincts and your subconsciousness. Because you are unaware of this, your consciousness will never come. Never. This is Leon C, aka Morpheus, and I don't apologize for ranting like that. I don't apologize. I get riled up when we talk silly. Because we're not thinking about reality. We're not thinking about other people. We're thinking about ourselves and what we believe in. It don't matter about what you believe matters nothing to reality. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to change the world. The only thing that's going to change your reality is by accepting reality. And stop trying to run away from it and pray it away, because that's not going to help you, and it never did. It never did justice for those people who have lost their lives up until now. Because I'm pretty sure they was thinking the same thing, but it couldn't be helped. And then you want to get mad at God and say, oh, God's not listening to me. No, because you're not praying to anything. That's the problem. So when you walk away from the myth and you take a break away from it, you don't have to lose your mind and go insane. Because when you walk away from it, you're going to run right into truth. Not their interpretation of, oh, you're going to burn in hell. Oh, there's a rapture and God's going to leave you behind. Leave me behind what? Leave me behind how? How are you going to be left behind? Think about that for a second. Think about the millions of people who are not here today. Were they left behind? And you're still breathing, right? The clouds in the sky didn't split, did it? No, it did not. But yet they were unfortunate, okay, because their departure, guess what, wasn't by the hand of your interpretation of God and the devil. It was by the hands of evil men. That is mankind, human, your species. Well, the devil uses people just like God used people. Oh, hush your mouth. Sit down. Sit down. Anything but to avoid reality, that you have a decision whether your free will is to decide to do good with it or evil with it. unfortunately, we have too many men and human, okay, who's only seeking dominance, control, and power. Simple as that. And whatever means necessary, you are irrelevant. You are insignificant in what you believe. Only their cause is what matters. You need to understand that. It's not a God and devil thing. Mankind and human is God and devil in one. That is through science, that's through technology, and that's through the airplanes that they make. That's through the machines that they create and the technology that you use on a day-to-day basis, because you depend on the placebo and those addictive medications to death, in which you are willing to accept. Those who turn their ignorant eye towards innocent people get no love from me. You get no love from me. People who have lost their lives just by being innocent. Children who don't know anything about you and what you are supposed to know, being bombarded with our mythical thinking. And they're being transformed right into the matrix, the very thing that I fight against. Get no love from me. That really pees me off. That's the very thing I'm saving people from, especially children. And they got to dive right into it, because the first thing we want to do is, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's my only proof and evidence. I'm going to get off this rant. Go chew on that. This is Leon C, aka Morpheus, and I go against the machine, whether you like it or not. My war is for truth, and it's against stupidity. For the children and for the future of America. The flag has to go up, and to do that, put that dumb stuff down.